because we just wrapped up with the Esports World Cup Americas qualifier. We just wrapped up, and I had an hour break before KSL, and I did eat some food. I had some burritos, papi. Ah, it was beautiful. The burrito, it's inside me. I'm so full. And we're settling it. We're settling into our next series. And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Alkion, we have our South Korean Protoss player, the Blue Protoss, representing Bleed Esports. It is NightMare. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Protoss, the Red Protoss, representing Gen G Esports. It is Trap. Inside you, exactly. Oh, the dark copy pasta. It's well, you're premature, Papi. You're premature. We'll get to dark. I'll read the copy pasta when we cast it. Aye. For now, we're determining which of these two Protoss players makes it to the semifinals. Will be NightMare or Trap, one or the other. We'll see. I mean, it's going to be quite close. We got to see Trap kind of have his way with Gemini earlier and have a really strong performance. I mean, it was very impressive stuff there out of Trap, but NightMare will pose a greater threat, and NightMare is opening up in an interesting way. This is the beginning of a gate expand. Waiting for the Cybercore to be thrown down, so it's going to be a gate, Cybercore into tech, into expansion. NightMare is pulling a max packs. Meanwhile, Trap is going for a standard opener. Now, what I'm referring to is that Trap is opening up 2 gate. He's going 2 gate into a Cybercore. Meanwhile, NightMare is skipping his second gateway, going for his, instead, more economic start here. This is going to be leading into a Stargate and into a faster expansion. We'll see how Trap responds. Trap could react with a 1-base all-in. He could see this, he could be like, yo, you try to cut corners against me, and he could just double down and go for a 1-base all-in, or we could try to approach this in a different way and try to get ahead or catch up economically. As there it is, there's the Nexus. Now, NightMare, he does cut a corner. He could have gone for a faster tech structure into a Stargate, then the expansion, but as you can see, we're banking up gas. Like, we have 200 gas, and now we throw down the Stargate after the expansion. So NightMare just cutting corners, and I see a proxy pylon. Trap, he sees the greed of NightMare. How does he respond? 1-base all-in. Trap, we're going for a 1-base all-in. He sees the greed. He's like, mate, you think you're a max packs? Papi, let's go. Show us the proxy. I imagine Robo, no, gateway for now. We have a 3rd gateway across the map, a 3-gate setup for the time being. And NightMare does not scout. He does not get eyes on this. NightMare is in the dark. You can see he's scouting, he's checking, he's looking for the pylon. He did notice earlier that a pylon was, actually the second pylon was revealed. But NightMare, he's looking for a proxy. Alas, it's right here, right in his face, the last place you would expect. And how many gateways? Okay, so it's going to be 3 gateways at home, 1 gateway across the map. It is a 4-gate, 1-base all-in. 4 gates, that's a lot of gates, Papi. That's a lot of gates, and we're already pushing forward. We catch the initial Stalker, taking some hull damage. Another gateway on the way. Ooh, probe goes down. And we're about to warp in a second Stalker, but until then, Trap can have his way in the main. 2 probe kills, 3 probe kills. 3 workers go down. We catch a 4th probe as well. And we do manage to back up. At the same time, we're going for the Stalker. Oracle has arrived. We focus it down. 1 Stalker falls. And we're still not done. We're getting so much damage here with these 2 Stalkers. Very nice control. We have 5 probe kills. 6. We almost get 7. And remember, we're not done. We have our 4-gate setup. We're warping in 4 Stalkers at a time. And we're looking to overwhelm NightMare. NightMare, the pylon is exposed. We have a shield battery. GG is called. He just cannot keep up. Not anymore. And Trap takes game number 1. GG. The game very quickly escalating out of control. Trap getting an insane amount of damage done in the main base and just pulled NightMare apart. Again, NightMare doing his best max packs impression, but was a little bit too greedy, was caught off guard. Again, did go for the Oracle first and did use it to defend. Meanwhile, we didn't realize that there was a proxy and that there was an all-in. NightMare was in the dark. And with that, we're getting into game number 2. I'm hoping we can sink our teeth into this and we can have a back and forth, but we'll see. That was a very fast game 1. Now, we'll see if it all ends here in game 2. Catching up in the chat. Oh, Jeff, basically, calm down. Calm down, Papi, calm down. Why not, boy? ¿Por qué no los dos? Trap just didn't play. He didn't just play safe. He was aggressive too. He was. Yeah, just catching up. And here we go. We're settling in. We're settling into our game and spawning in the bottom right hand corner of side Delta. We have our South Korean Protoss player, the Blue Protoss, representing Bleed Esports down in this series. Can he bounce back? It is NightMare. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the red Protoss player representing Gen G Esports. It is Trap. One game away from winning it all, and this is going to be an interesting dynamic. Game 2 is side Delta. We're getting to side Delta here. Because of that, there's a very unique feature, of course. It is the ramp coming into the natural. Maps like Post, Youth, Amphion, and Site Delta have this ramp. It's not as common as it once was, but it allows our players to open up a little bit more greedily, a little bit more economically. We're setting up for gate expands. Now, this could be the beginning of Phoenix Wars. It's a little bit early to call, and when it comes to the Korean Protosses, a lot of them do try to avoid Phoenix Wars, which I do appreciate. It. But what's going to be happening here is we're going to be setting up for our Cyber Core, our expansion. We may opt to delay our expansions in favor of Stargates if both players open up Stargates, and if both players scout each other, then that's the beginning of Phoenix Wars. Could be the beginning of the end. Oh boy. As the cyber cores are thrown down from both players. We have seen players like NightMare try to deviate away from Phoenixes and go into like fast blink, for example, but it can be risky to pull off. Can be difficult. As we do have our Zealots on the way, both players are trying to block each other's expansions. And again, that does usually force out tech. And usually force out the Stargate. Right now, our workers are dancing with each other. Zealot is forced out from NightMare. Likewise, Zealot here. And there's the initial Stargate from Trap. And there's the Stargate from NightMare. Okay, the first step has been taken. Both players are fully aware of their Stargates. Because of this, we should not be seeing Oracles. So one of these two could be crazy. They could be crazy. They could try to rush into an Oracle and try to bypass the Phoenix of their opponents. But we should be making Phoenixes. Meanwhile, NightMare is the first to expand. Does get expansion up and running. Meanwhile, Trap, likewise, a little bit behind his opponents by a couple of seconds, but not too long. Expansions are thrown down, and we'll see if we do embrace and commit to Phoenixes. We'll see if anyone tries to take a risk. As there we go, we have the Phoenix from NightMare, we have the Phoenix from Trap as well. And welcome everyone to PvP Phoenix Wars. The Phoenix Wars, they have begun, Papi, and from here we should be continuing Phoenix production. It can lead into a second Stargate for double Phoenixes, into a Fleet Beacon, into Phoenix range. But again, we'll see if anyone tries to deviate away and tries to go into Blink, for example, which is risky, but can work. As we do shut down the initial Adept, and there it is! Do you see what I see? I see a Twilight Council. NightMare, we did bring him up earlier about how NightMare does like to try to deviate away and work towards Blink. This is the beginning of a deviation. Twilight Council's on the way for Blink Stalkers. Meanwhile, the main armies are going to be clashing. Oh. Getting quite close here between these two Phoenixes. Trap does reinforce. Meanwhile, Trap throws down a second Stargate. Trap is committed to Phoenix production. He's embracing the Phoenix Wars. And he does focus on one. Oh, we do focus on the Phoenix. We trade 1 for 1. That is an even trade initially. And what's scary here is it's more important that NightMare just lost the Phoenix, because he's going to be surpassed, right? Like, we have Trap continuing Phoenix production. NightMare just bled out 1. That means he has that much less to defend, and we're working towards Blink. That is true, but there's a window. There's a timing before Blink kicks in where Trap can take advantage of NightMare. So we are pulling together our Phoenixes. Loving the proxy pylon here in the center of the map. Does give us some scouting information. Pylons being thrown down for both players. Trap pushing in. If Trap is too passive, then NightMare can get away with this and can try to make use of his 2-base blink. That's if Trap is passive. But again, still making 2 Phoenixes at a time. Looking at the units tab, it's going to be 5 Phoenixes to the 2 of NightMare. Now, NightMare will have an overcharge. It's going to be so important here for NightMare to fight with the overcharge, to fight with the shield battery. But it's not done yet. It's not done. We dive in. So far, good control. We do pull back. 1 Phoenix goes down, and we're hunting down the final Phoenix. Yeah, there's no escape. It's gonna fall. And from here, we wreak havoc. We get eyes on the tech. We get eyes on the blink. And probes are going down left and right. We focus on the stalkers as well. We can lift them all. Say that. Ooh, one Phoenix falls. One Phoenix for two stalkers. Did I say two stalkers? We're going to get a third. Oh, barely not. Do you run out of energy? Would you run out of energy? Do you pull back? Trap does retreat. Blink is about to finish. NightMare is down in the economy, but he's trying to hold on, trying to keep up. Proxy across the map. Oh! Oh my god. So we get two more probe kills, and Trap does escape. Does barely get away. Behind this, we're getting into robot production. This should be for Immortals to make up for our lack of Blink Stalkers, to help support the air army. Additional gateways on the way. Fortra +1. The Stalkers move out. Meanwhile, the Phoenixes, they move in. And NightMare not quite in position. Putting out 5 more probes. NightMare moving out. His army is spotted. Trap is aware. And Trap is racing home. It's racing back home. Back across the map. What do we have to defend? We have an Immortal on the way. It just now started. We can blink into the main. Despite all the side defense, we can dive into the main base instead. And Trap has no side defensive position. Is not ready for this. Yeah, we dive in. We catch the Oracle. Oracle goes down. We're going for the pylons. And Trap, can he really engage? There are just so many stalkers. Boys are being pulled. A moment of desperation for Trap. But the Phoenixes are falling one after the other. And the Immortal is not ready. The Immortal just now popping out. We do bleed out 4 probes. We can afford to lose some workers. Like, Trap is still ahead economically. Still ahead in the worker count. But it's a bit of a delicate dance here as the Immortal is under fire. We pop the overcharge. Just barely. The overcharge keeps it alive a little bit longer, but it does go down. And Trap is in trouble. Gateways are depowered. Trap, he can't spend his money. I mean, I say that. He's warping in. Desperately so. Trying to repower those gateways. Oof. As everything in the main base is depowered. NightMare catching me off guard. Diving on the Immortal. It does take some extra volleys, but it will go down. GG gets called. NightMare snowballs out of control. NightMare says no to the Phoenix Wars. And we force the ace match. GG. We are going all the way to game 3. Whew. Let's go. Again, it was a risky move for NightMare to embrace Blink as a follow-up and try to deviate away from the Phoenixes, from the Phoenix Wars. Likewise, Trap did double down, and he was doing some good economic damage, but unfortunately, he wasn't quite ready for the follow-up. If you remember, Trap, he had a wall of shield batteries at his natural. He was ready for an assault at his natural, less so in the main. The main was exposed, the main was lacking, shield batteries was lacking any stack defense, and that was the most vulnerable position for Trap, and NightMare did take advantage of it. Did take advantage of that, was able to do quite well, depowering the gateways and shutting Trap down. And now it comes down to this. It comes down to the ace match. Let's go. Let us go. Someone needs to ask Dark one day if he's aware of the copy pasta. Oh, oh no. Don't tell him. Don't tell him. Dolan, Dolan, Papi, Dolan. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well. Hope you had a good day, Papi. I wasn't able to catch a series against Trigger. I was looking forward to it. I was looking forward to a series versus Trigger. And I hope you're doing well. And I look forward to seeing more of you. You know, for those who are unaware, Cheeseadelphia is on the horizon. Not too long, not too far away. And I'm sure Dolan is going to be a part of that. So, GG, Papi, GG. As we're settling into our ace match and spawning in the top left-hand corner of Amphion, we have our South Korean Protoss player, the Blue Protoss representing Bleed Esports. It is NightMare. Trigger smash he did. Trigger did smash everyone. Aye. And spawning in the bottom left hand corner, we have the South Korean Protoss, the red Protoss, representing Gen G Esports. It is Trap. Trigger popped off. Did pop off. He went to town, and he made it into the. I mean, if you guys want to tune into the VODs, we did cast, of course, the EWC qualifiers earlier today, and Trigger did quite well for himself. But now we're settling down. We're settling in. We are going to be settling into our PvP, and we have a similar dynamic. If you recall what I mentioned about Side Delta, I said there were other similar maps out there. Side Delta, alongside Amphion, and Post Youth. And here we go. We're going for an even greedier start. NightMare, Gate Expand. This is the greediest opener you can go for in PvP. The greed is real. Trap is going for a much more safer opener, going for a gate into Cybercore, into expansion. But NightMare, he's throwing down the gauntlets. He's saying, yo, I'm going for a fast Nexus. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? Now, if you remember, the last time this happened, in game 1, Trap punished him. And Trap committed to a 1-base all-in, and he killed NightMare before he could really embrace his economy. The question becomes, do we do that again? Now, the downside here on this map, as opposed to Alkione, which is what happened in game 1, is that we have the high ground. We have the high ground advantage. We do have quite a bit to work with. It's going to be a Stargate follow-up here by Trap. So, gateway into Cybercore to Stargate. And we'll see if Trap can get some economic damage done. We'll see if he can try to punish NightMare here, as NightMare does delay his tech in favor of the Nexus, which is about to finish, by the way. Nexus is about to complete, and Trap yet to throw down his own base. Ooh, as we go for the pylon block, NightMare being so annoying. Ay. Does throw down the pylon, will delay the expansion. Adept is moving out across the map, and right now the pressure is on Trap. And we force the unnatural natural. We forced out the linear third base instead, as the natural base is going to be a little bit more exposed. Trap advancing on. Engaging with the main army so far. Zealots, they do pounce on each other. We do take down the initial Zealot of NightMare. Not bad. Gotta be pulling back. Shield battery not quite done. And can we get the Stalker? Alas, we have a second Stalker. Yeah, NightMare, he's holding. He's shutting this down. Forcing it back. Trading Zealots 1-to-1. And here comes that Oracle. Again, we need to get some damage done here with the Oracle. We can zoom out across the map. Meanwhile, back at home, we have a shield battery. We have a shield battery in the main. The natural is more exposed. There's potential for damage, but there's not that many workers. We'll see where Trap goes, as behind this he's going for a Void Ray. Okay. Interesting. You have my attention. Bap, you have my attention here. Void Ray on the way. Oracle rotating around. Headed towards the main. So far, the Oracle is gonna be forced back. Oh, and we do try to thread the needle here between the bases. We take a lot of hits. We do take some hull damage. No worker kills yet. Just getting a full scout. We do confirm that there is saturation at the natural, so Trap is aware. And likewise, we're going for one, not just one. We're going for a second Void Ray. Okay. Okay, Trap. Let's go. Second Void Ray on the way. Now, with these earlier Void Rays, I mean, they do have a lot of potential with prismatic alignments. They do have a lot of DPS potential here to try to break through and try to break the natural. Meanwhile, we have a follow-up Robo as well. Robo is on the way for Trap here at the natural, or the unnatural, at the second base. Trap is soon going to be moving out. Now, bearing in mind that NightMare is in the dark. NightMare, I believe, has not made a single sentry. Yeah, no sentries out of NightMare, so no hallucination scouts. NightMare is playing a little bit blind. He's unaware as to what Trap has been up to, and of course, we've been investing into these Void Rays. NightMare hasn't even seen the expansion. Void Rays are revealed. Probe goes down. We're going for the pylon. A bit of an autosis pylon. We go for the Stalkers. We shut down one. Second Stalker, third Stalker as well, but we have such an overwhelming army. We've not been skipping warp ins. We focus on the first Void Ray, and now the second. Does cost us a lot of Stalkers, but we shut down the push. At the same time, Oracle into the main. We get a stasis, we catch one probe. And NightMare, he is defending. Oracle towards the natural, getting one probe kill. Oof, but we bleed out the Oracle. And looking at the trades here, that was 2 Void Rays, a Stalker, an Oracle for 6 Stalkers. I mean, that's a good amount of Stalker damage, true, but NightMare, for the most part, does maintain himself back at home. Trap working towards an Immortal transition. That is a second shield battery here in the natural. Expanding, taking a third, so is NightMare. And we're calming things down, at least a little bit. Now, I want to give the edge to NightMare. One of the big advantages that he has is Blink. Blink is finishing up in 5 seconds, so he will have a very mobile composition. He's going to be able to poke and prod and potentially even bypass the main army, heading into the natural, maybe even heading into the main. There's a lot of, again, just flexibility with this army composition from NightMare. Meanwhile, Trap back at home, is building up his immortals. And in a head-to-head fight, you know, I might even favor Trap with shield batteries with an overcharge. If we fight head-on here at the third, Trap can take it, definitely, but we'll see as NightMare does rock up, triggers the shields. Yeah, the shields are triggered. NightMare rotating around. And he can try to head towards the natural. Yeah, this is what we spoke about. He has high ground vision. At the same time, Adepts, they do shade in. Probes are going down. But we dive into the natural base. Pylon will alert Trap. The Trap responds. But now he has to fight out of range of the shield batteries. And we're pushing right into the main. Trap out of position. I mean, we got 5 probe kills. That is not insignificant. It's pretty good. But likewise, 3 probes go down. We blink back towards the natural. Again, we're just running circles around the army of Trap. He just cannot keep up. We depower the production. Diving into the natural. Shield battery does fall. Again, the mobility here of NightMare, it's getting a bit out of hand. Getting another pylon, pulling back. Now, importantly, Trap does at least maintain his immortals. And he's working on a 3rd immortal. So, like, the immortal count is still staying strong, but still just having a hard time keeping up. Force a cancel, taking down another pylon. At the same time, we still have that observer in position. We can just rotate around and go back into the natural. Meanwhile, at the same time, Trap, he's back in the main. Adepts, they are ferried in, and probes are going down. The Prism coming back in to try and save them, and it looks like we will. Oh my god. We get 1 probe and back the hell off. And what's important here is that at least this Warp Prism forces NightMare to recall. NightMare, he just recalled back home, and now Trap can breathe. Now Trap, he can take a moment to breathe. He's resaturating, reestablishing himself, taking his gases, probing up, working towards charge, gateway explosion. Throughout all of this, though, NightMare has also not been neglecting his army, building up his own immortal count, getting up to 3. Now, Trap does spot the main army. He's aware of the composition. That's why charge is going to be so crucial here for Trap. Investing into +1 in charge. Charge also, they do such a great job just buffering for your army, just soaking hits and getting damage done on Immortals and Stalkers. And the Adept harass does not end. Trap, he's back once again in the natural. 3 probe kills, 4. We're going to get 5, maybe even 6. Oh, barely not. 5 workers go down. Trap, this Adept harass has been non-stop from Trap, and it's been quite successful. In total, we've killed 14 probes. Almost purely with the Adepts. 14 worker kills, Trap taking a 4th, and more importantly, this also just distracts NightMare. Does pull him back to the natural. Buys time, the Prism is still a threat. More Adepts are warped in. We're headed for the main. Headed for the main base. NightMare doesn't quite have anything in position. Does go for the warp in. Once again. Oh, not quite. We don't get a worker. But we do escape. We escape. The shield battery doesn't take any damage. Does get away. Behind this, we're building up. Mass charge loss. Now we have Archon production as well. We spoke about kind of like the unit composition of our players, and because charge loss can be so they can be so impactful and effective against Stalker Immortal, that does force Archons to be coming into play. So there we go. We have Archons from both NightMare and Trap, and Trap is moving out. All right, what do we have? Army supplies are comparable, slightly in favor of NightMare. Likewise, NightMare also has the defender's advantage with the shield batteries and the overcharge. Shields are triggered on 2 of those Immortals. Shields are going to be triggered here. We have 3 Archons, soon to be 4 Archons for NightMare. He has the high ground, of course, as well. He's in position. Trap not finding a way in yet. And as he rotates, there's an observer that has eyes on everything here. So NightMare is keeping up with the rotations. Shuts down the Adepts. Pulling away. NightMare a bit out of position. We can push up the ramp. Oh, we don't quite commit. We calm down. We pull back. Again, it's a big positional battle right now between NightMare and Trap. Trying to find a way in. Pulling back. And it looks like Trap, he recognizes that he cannot quite break through this. He respects the army, and we're going for Obey. We're going for Disruptors. Kind of like the final form here of mid-game PvP. Disruptor production. Second Robo is on the way, but NightMare is pushing. And NightMare is about to max out. Is maxing out. The Archons, they go ham with the Zealots. Oh, and Trap, he bleeds out all of his Zealots. We're getting on top of the army, and NightMare, he's breaking through. Again, the Zealots, they melted. Now we're getting on top of the Immortals. The Prisms fall. And NightMare, this is the fight that he wanted. The fight that he wanted to take. And he just blazes his way through. There's just not enough to hold on. Yeah, Trap just kind of caught out in the open there. GG gets called, and NightMare will take the series 2-1, advancing on to the semi-finals. GG. GG, well played. Again, the Archons were front and center there. The Chargelets, as they ran in, they just melted against the army of NightMare. From there, we were able to get on top of the Immortals. And yeah, again, it was just a brutal fight to be taken. Again, Trappy was just trying to deviate away, working towards Disruptors, but needed more time. Did need a little bit more time to get there in the end. And alas, NightMare was already knocking down his front door. With that, GG. GG, well played. Plus, so yeah, the upgrades as well, of course. The upgrade timing for NightMare does kind of add another factor as well. And with that, GG. NightMare will advance on. My condolences to Trap. He played well. Don't get me wrong. He played beautifully, making it all the way to this round and to the ace match. But does meet his end at the hands of NightMare. And with that, we're getting ready for our next game. We're getting ready for our next series. And do we have an update? Do we have an update? Exclamation mark B in the chat if you guys want to have a look at the bracket yourself. We do. We have a player lying in wait. And we're jumping into the semi-finals. NightMare has his next opponent. It's Dark.